about the origins of COVID-19 because they have inspired wild speculation online. There have been many conspiracy theories, encouraged by, among others, President Trump. He suggested that the virus might have originated in a lab in China, the Wuhan Institute of Virology. That's despite US intelligence agencies dismissing the idea that it could have been man-made or genetically modified. I've been speaking to Dr. Maureen Miller, an infectious disease epidemiologist affiliated to Columbia University in New York. She worked with the leading scientists at the Wuhan lab, and I asked her for her view on how coronavirus became a threat to humans.
Simple questions are often scary, but this one is not. I think the origins of this particular pandemic are a bat virus that spilled over into a human population. It's that simple. It could have been mediated by a third animal, or it could have been directly transmitted to a human from a bat.
And how does that actually happen?
That is a great question, and that is the research that I conducted. We went to Yunnan, Guangxi, and Guangdong province, which is where these bats with viruses that are known to be potentially pathogenic to humans, that's where these bats circulate. And we went and we talked to community members who live near bat roosts or bat caves, or who work in the fields, like forest rangers. And we talked to them about how they interacted with bats, because there are some groups that are at known high risk. Hunters, for example, if it is blood-to-blood transmitted. Do you eat food that you saw that an animal had nibbled on? Well, poor people often don't have a choice, and we did indeed find that the poorest of people did, kind of try to eat around the bites of an animal. So those are all mechanisms of potential transmission at the front line, because there are known hotspots where diseases are likely to spill over from animals to humans. So that southern China region is a hotspot, and it was the source. Guangdong province was the site where the spillover occurred in a market of the original SARS 2002-2003 outbreak.
Now, as you say, you went to China to do some of this work, and you have worked alongside those people who are working inside the Wuhan Institute of Virology. You will have seen lots of questions put forward, not least by your president, suggesting that in some way they were responsible for this virus. What do you think of that idea?
I think it is an idea that's being used to deflect attention from the crisis that's going on right now. I think it is a conspiracy theory. The scientific evidence, on the other hand, is more compelling in my mind. I think you probably saw that a couple days ago. France reported that its first COVID-19 case was on December 27th. That's 4 full days before China reported it to the WHO. So this has been circulating for quite a while. And another piece of genetic evidence, which is probably one of the best pieces of evidences we're going to get in terms of how this started. The genetic analysis took the bat virus, which was identified because it was part of the catalog of viruses that Shengli Shi at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, it's one of the viruses she had cataloged. So she's collected all of these viruses and has been warning people there's potential for something really awful to happen.
Given that this is a world trying to work together to find a vaccine, to try and find a treatment for this virus, how comfortable do you feel actually with some of the statements that are coming out of the Trump administration? Because the president obviously has suggested, put forward these conspiracy theories. I want you to listen to this clip from the weekend from ABC TV News as well, which is from the US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, where again he seems to push this idea of a potential conspiracy.
While the intelligence committee continues to do its work, they should continue to do that and verify so that we are certain. I can tell you that there is a significant amount of evidence that this came from that laboratory in Wuhan.
Now, do you think there is evidence? Have you seen any evidence?
I have seen none, nor have the intelligence agencies of our closest English-speaking allies. Nobody has seen this evidence. They've not presented anything new. I find it very disheartening and counterproductive, but the aspect that will make this conspiracy theory probably live on forever is that we will never know exactly how this virus spilled over. Traditional outbreak investigation happens right at the beginning, and once it's overwhelmed with the number of cases, it just becomes impossible. This virus, too, because it transmits before people are infected, or when people don't even know they're infected because they will never show any symptoms, there's no way to do the kind of investigation that would be required to identify the original source.
It's also attacking people who, I suppose, are looking into the origins of this disease. As you mentioned there about Jingli Shea, she is someone who is very involved in this kind of research. How important is that kind of research to finding a vaccine, treatment, finding a way of dealing with this virus in the longer term?
She is actively working on that right now. She is continuing her research. She's all about prevention, and she's a world-renowned expert on bat coronaviruses and has been for many years. I mean, the world that focuses on bat coronaviruses is pretty small until recently, but she is world-renowned and consulted regularly by scientists from around the world, and she collaborates with scientists from around the world and is very generous in sharing her research.
Just a final question, and that's about what will be done in the future, because one of the concerns, I suppose, about the future, if this has happened once, is it likely to happen again? Are we likely to deal with further coronaviruses in the future?
There are coronaviruses with pathogenic potential floating around out there. There are also lots of other kinds of viruses that could lead to pandemic. I don't think it's too early to start to talk about prevention and prevention activities, and we have the tools to be able to do that. What we need is the political will, the resources, and the cooperation to be able to assist in the known hotspots. We can monitor those hotspots. Who's already been exposed potentially to these pathogens, and we can monitor if there's an uptake in the pathogens in human populations. We can already do this. We're not doing it, but we could.
It's a bit of a worry, isn't it? There are more viruses potentially out there. That's Dr. Maureen Miller, who's affiliated to Columbia University in New York.